What is going on, everybody? This is Draw My Life from Athlete to Rehab. My name is Ethan Wood. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and stay tuned. Posting every week. So chapter 1 started in 8th grade whenever I started to run. I joined the cross country team, or the practice squad at least, for cross country, and I started running track. And I'd run at least 2 miles a day, all week, 7 days a week. And my main thing that I was going into for track was the 800, because I wasn't big on running too much distance, but at the same time I did like distance, so 800 felt like the perfect fit for me at the time. But I was running that in around 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Not too good, but it leads us to chapter 2. So chapter 2 is high school. Starting in 9th grade, I ran cross country, and instead of running 2 miles, I ran 4 miles every day and 8 miles on Sundays for the long runs. But if you know cross country in high school, it is 3.1 miles for a race, which is a 5K. And yeah, I wasn't too shabby at it. I wasn't too good. I wasn't too bad, but I ended up being number 3 on the team. So I made the team. And I don't even think there was enough people to get cut, but I ran 22:15 in the 5K, which wasn't too good in my opinion, but we'll get better. And I did get better. I ended up getting 3rd place in a JV race, which boosted my confidence really high. Even though my times weren't very well, I ended up having a lot more confidence after getting 3rd place in this JV race. So this all led to 10th grade. 10th grade, sophomore year in high school. I believe I had just moved high school, so I was at Blake previously, and then I moved to Leto High School in Town and Country, Tampa. And we weren't too bad at cross country. I ended up making the team again, and I ran a 5K in 2025, which, no, I don't mean the year. I mean I ran in 20 minutes and 25 seconds. And it was a big deal for me because I dropped 2 minutes in just a year, and I was hoping if I kept up this progress, then things were going to be okay. So basically, I ran 5 miles every day. On the long runs on Sundays, it would be at least 8 miles still. I just upped my miles slowly. But the bad thing about sophomore year was I was introduced to drugs. And by drugs, I just mean weed and nicotine. I wasn't really heavy on doing anything else yet, but in the long run, it still messed me up, and I ended up dropping down times, and I will explain to you why. So basically, I let life get to me. I let my family problems get to me, and I just continued to smoke and drink and do everything that's unhealthy instead of doing something that's productive. This led into my 11th grade year, where I basically let life get to me, like I said, and I just fell off. I fell off really hard. I actually started running my 5Ks in a lot less time than what I'm used to. I ran a 5K in 22:01, 11th grade year, and I was just pissed off at myself and the world, and I was depressed. I was depressed a lot, and this is whenever my mental problems really started to hit. I started to hear voices. I started to drink more, smoke more weed, and it all just led bad. All the voices in my head were telling me to go kill myself, die, run, telling me I suck, all this good stuff. But instead of trying to resort to therapy or resort to communicating with people, I just did what I wanted to do, and I didn't listen to anybody. I didn't listen to my parents. I didn't listen to my peoples. I didn't listen to my friends or family. I just did what I wanted to do, and I was drinking, smoking, and that's the only way I really coped with all my problems growing up in the family. And that was because I was adopted at a young age, and growing up, I didn't really feel like people loved me, so I did what I wanted to do. And the more I talk about this stuff, the more I realize how much I've changed as an individual, and it makes me happy. With that being said, I do want to go into the next part of this where I had an idea. More like my stepmom had an idea, my adopted mom. She had a bright idea, and she was like, this kid needs structure, so what I'm going to do is sign him up for football. And at the time, I didn't know what to think about it, but what I do know is that I was excited to play football. I ended up being the kicker on the football team as well as a receiver, and a DB, defensive back, and yeah. So basically, as I played football and as time passed, I ended up gaining quite a bit of muscle. I was very, very skinny whenever I first started, but then I ended up gaining some muscle weight, which was very good for me because it was very hard for me to gain weight in the first place. I'm pretty sure I started at like 115 pounds, possibly. And I got all the way up to 140 pounds, and I was lean muscle, so I was very proud of myself. I ended up quit smoking, and yeah, I was doing good with myself. I was happy, I was being productive, and my cross country times ended up going from 22 minutes all the way down to 18 minutes and 35 seconds, which is great for me. So yeah. This brings up 12th grade year, senior year in high school, where life was doing good. I was doing pretty good in the beginning of senior year in high school. I was living life. I was happy at first. And then life hit me hard. With home life being a struggle and growing up, all that stuff and the abuse, this, that, the other, football also went down too. Whenever I was going through things at home, I ended up quitting football. Coaching changed. It also took part in why I quit football, but same thing with cross country. I hit my peak around 17:30 in the 5K, and then I quit. I just stopped it. I didn't think I was going to be able to drop my time anymore, and I didn't think any colleges were going to want me because my GPA dropped from a 3.0 to a 2.5, and that's just not good enough for any scholarships or anything. So I got back into smoking weed, taking mushrooms, and popping pills. And it messed me up as an individual. It messed my head up more. The schizophrenia I had before became way worse. Started hearing more voices. I was 17 years old and I was all alone in the world. I didn't know what to do, and honestly, I was kicked out of my house, so I was just house hopping and sleeping in cars just to make it to school the next day. And now that I look back on this, it's like insane to me. I don't know how I got through this. I was so young. I didn't have a birth certificate, no social security. I didn't have any necessities to get a job, any necessities to get into any program. And yeah, it really messed me up. Life messed me up pretty hard around the end of 12th grade year. And I didn't know what to do. Honestly, I was depressed. I was sad. I was doing drugs. And I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing just because I had nowhere to go. I was homeless. I ended up moving in with my aunt eventually into her little motel all the way out in Madeira Beach, right by the water. It was beautiful, and I'm so very blessed to have her in my life. But the things that I went through just to get there, it's just crazy to me how I have to look back and think about this stuff. But yeah, so I was with my aunt for a little while, going to school from all the way near Madeira Beach all the way to Tampa. Still went to Leto High School, but I was making it work. And eventually, God put somebody in my path, and this person was a youth pastor at the church I used to go to as a kid. And he blessed me and told me I could come stay with him. He said, until you graduate, we'll help you find a job, we'll help you get your birth certificate, your driver's license, all that good stuff. And that's what they did. I ended up graduating with a 3.0 GPA and finding work. I found work right out of high school because my trade was being a technician. And I was a technician for Furman Chevrolet for about a year and a half, for 2 years, I'd say. But yeah, it was a good environment to be around. I was finally getting back on track, finally doing what I was supposed to be doing. And then life hit me again. But still being an active addiction and constantly smoking and drinking, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing in the environment. I got a little better, and then I decided to go back to my old ways, which really didn't help my situation out whatsoever. And I do apologize to these people as much as I can, and I'm very grateful for what they did to help me. But at the end of the day, I had to go. I packed my bags. I packed up a garbage bag full of clothes and a suitcase full of clothes that my sister had gotten me, and I moved from 813 Tampa to 727 St. Petersburg, Florida. And I didn't know what to do with life. I was staying with my sister, and I was constantly spending money. Money here, money there, money everywhere. And I was still working at the time, so I had the money to spend. I was just being stupid with my money. Instead of investing in myself, I invested in literally everything else. And I invested in things that just made me temporarily happy, pretty much. Moving on, I saved up enough money, barely just scratching pennies off the ground, to buy my first vehicle. And that was a Pontiac G6. And then after that, I ended up finding love. I found a girl who seemed to be caring at the time, but you know how that goes. Everything is good until it's not. So I ended up putting an engagement ring on this girl's hand, thinking life was gonna be better. Still working in Tampa, staying in Brooksville with her family, and doing good. I was doing pretty well. Honestly, I stopped taking pills and I stopped drinking as much. I still smoked weed and I drank here and there, but life kept clocking. By clocking, I meant time kept going. I ended up staying with this person for at least 5 months, I believe, and thinking I was in love, thinking that I was ready to get married, which is crazy. Don't ever rush into anything like this. I had to learn the hard way. I ended up losing my job. And with losing my job, I ended up losing my relationship, and I ended up losing my car. So from Brooksville, I had to go all the way back to St. Petersburg in the 727 area and start over yet again. Moving to St. Petersburg back again with my sister, her baby daddy, and me. It was fun. I love my sister to death, and I love the family that we have. But it was also very difficult because I had no way of income. I ended up finding a mom and pop shop around the corner, and I ended up going to work there. And eventually they didn't have enough to pay me, so I started working at Wendy's. And what happened there is they fired me because I'm not very good with fast food. I'm more hands-on, technician, mechanic kind of thing. And we ended up moving in from a house to an apartment by the water, and I love that little apartment. You know, we were by the water for a while, but because I was in active addiction, I was messed up in the head. I started to see things and I started to hear things that weren't there, and I realized I needed some help, but I was still in active addiction, and no matter what I did, I was always going to go back to using and getting high just so that I could cope with my emotions, and then, if anything, it just made it worse. You know, I don't want to make this a whole sob story, but I will cut to the chase. Basically, yeah, all I could really do at the time was pray to God and ask for help because I was hungry and I was broke. I had no money, no income, no nothing. So all I could do was pray to God and hope that things would get better, which they didn't. We ended up getting evicted from that apartment. Nice apartment, but couldn't stay there too long, and my go-to move was to just put myself through the hospital. I knew I was dealing with some pretty bad mental things, so I put myself in the hospital. I think I ended up being in the hospital for 12 different occasions. I was in and out, and it just wasn't very healthy. So yeah, being in the loony bin or the funny farm for 3 months on end was a struggle. It was extremely challenging because I lost a lot of my social skills that I had to slowly gain back, and I'm still working on getting them back. But being in the loony bin or the funny farm for so long really opened my eyes to see who I am as an individual and what do I stand for. And that's why I made a video not too long ago about exactly who I am and what do I believe in, what I stand for, this, that, the other. But in the loony bin, I was talking to some social workers, and they were basically telling me about this program. And this program is called BOLI. And I was like, well, it's a rehab program. I'd really like to get involved. Just sign me up. First 2 tries trying to get in, they denied me so quick because of my past. 3rd time was a charm though. They finally accepted me. I had a Zoom interview and everything, and it's a 6-month or more program, and they help with housing and they help with getting income, getting back into work. So that's where I'm at the moment. It's supposed to help me get back on my feet. So yeah, 8 months down the line, I'm still in the program. I am doing very well. I feel healthy. I am drug and alcohol free, and I am on the correct medications for my mental health. But in the meantime, I am staying in a group home with around 11 people, and my next move here soon will be in an apartment with just 1 roommate because that is what this program is offering. And money is coming all the way. I'm working on getting my check, and I'm also working on getting back into the workforce, getting a truck, making a camper out of it, and bringing you guys on the ride. I'm very excited for this. and I can't wait for you guys to see how far I really came, because in my eyes I've came from nothing to something. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Be safe. God bless.